Kevin Peterson returned to the LV County Championship and didn't disappoint, hitting 163, more than half of Surrey's runs as they got the upper hand on their host Somerset in Taunton. Gareth Batty won the toss and decided to have a bat, although his openers found life difficult even before Zafar Ansari was legged before to Steve Kirby in the day's 8th over. That brought together Rory Burns and Aaron Haranath, whose double hundred stand in Surrey's last match had gone a long way to see them beating Middlesex. This time, however, they'd added only 32, and then Burns on 23 played on a ball from Sajid Mahmood. Enter Peterson, who received generous applause from a good Taunton crowd before he soon started to find the fence. Only he knew what would have been going through his mind, but one thing was for sure: he would have wanted to show off his incredible talents with the bat in his hands. England's loss is certainly Surrey's gain, and he can only help players like Haranath at the other end. Haranath had made 21 when he was the third man out with a total on 73, with an edge to Marcus Trescothick off George Dockrell. Peterson had been a little quiet before lunch, but spurred on by this six from Xander de Brain, he started to move effortlessly through the numbers in the afternoon. Mahmood may have thought that he'd got him out here, but the appeal was never going to be answered in the affirmative. So a guided 4 to third man off Kirby took Peterson to his 50 off his 66th delivery, that being his 7th 4. He was now really warming up. He smashed a double hundred in his last championship innings, and as he pulled Peter Trigo for a 6, Somerset must have been fearing the worst. So instead they took on the view that there is more than one way to skin a cat and started to take wickets at the other end. De Brain, who scored lots of runs on this ground as a Somerset player, edged a drive off Kirby behind on 34. Before bowler and keeper Joss Butler combined again to remove Jason Roy for a duck. Peterson was by now producing his full array of strokes to help his side, who are by no means out of relegation trouble yet. This took Peterson into the 90s, and off just his 116th ball, he flicked Alfonso Thomas through mid-wicket for his 15th 4 to bring him his brilliant ton. He is a man who knows how to make the headlines, of course, and so a 3-figure score in his first 4-day outing since being dropped by England was almost inevitable. Somerset must have been wishing that his row with the men at the top had never materialised. So how to celebrate? Well, with an imperious drive through extra cover, which kept him at the crease going into the day's final session. And that session too looked as if it was again going to belong to Peterson, who now launched Dockrell back over his head for his second 6. But it looked as if he might be left by himself as wickets continued to fall at the other end. Gary Wilson was easily stumped by Butler off Dockrell. Batty then edged Mahmood to James Hildreth on 5. And Stuart Meeker was undone by a slider from the on-loan Lancashire man, which reduced the visitors to 268 for 8. So Peterson now had to go for it some more, something Dockrell discovered, as he was hit somewhere near the galaxy. The Irishman had a better time against John Lewis, who he had caught by Trescothick at 285 for 9, an important third batting bonus point for Surrey, still 15 runs away. Mahmood then reminded Peterson that he's not completely invincible by firing in a short ball, which certainly troubled the batsman. But that didn't stop Surrey from getting that third point, something they may need after starting this match just 15 points clear of the relegation zone. 16 runs came off a single over from Dockrell, including this maximum. The last pair, including Murali Kartik, added 32 in 4 overs before Peterson, on virtue of run a ball 163, was caught behind, something which also surprised our camera. So Somerset had 14 overs left to respond to Surrey's 317 all out, but they lost both openers. Arul Sapaya went to the 4th ball of the reply with an edge behind off Lewis, while Trescothick offered a simple catch to Meeker off his own bowling after failing to go through with his pull shot. That left Somerset on 16 for 2, but Chris Jones and Hildreth were able to see out the final 8.5 overs of a day in which Peterson will again make all the headlines. Somerset need to find someone to almost match him from here. They'll resume on the second morning on 42 for 2, with both Jones and Hildreth on 15 runs apiece. That means that Somerset trail by 275.